Hello everybody. I have been asked to tell my story about why AT&T owes me $400. This is something that I've wanted to do for about a year. Never really wanted to bother with it, but seeing as how AT&T is finally getting the publicity it deserves for the constant problems that a consumer would encounter when doing any business with AT&T. Recently, a guy sued AT&T in small claims court, won $800-something, and AT&T still hasn't paid him, and he's been told tons of stories by them, and you never hear anything straight. I have been in the same boat as this guy. AT&T is very good at bullshitting people. And AT&T is very good at lying. Well, somewhat. What I'm about to tell you is a story of how I constantly would call AT&T, threaten to cancel, while within a 2-year contract. What I don't understand about AT&T and contracts is that there's nothing in those contracts to protect the consumer when a corporation drops the ball. And what I mean by that is this. Within 2 years, a lot of things can happen with your service. You can sign your 2-year contract with a service that works. And while you're within that 2-year contract, your service could quite possibly end up getting worse and worse and worse as you are on that contract, which exactly is what happened with me. I've been an AT&T customer since before they bought out Singular. I was a Singular customer since 2003. And, I've renewed my contract countless times, and I renewed my contract to get an iPhone 4 the summer it came out. Everything worked fine for about a year, and then I would say looking at around March or so, March of 2011, I really started to, it was actually January 2011, I'm so sorry. January 2011, that's really when stuff started taking a turn for the worse. I mean, I use my phone a lot, guys. I'm going to flat out say I really do. I stream music all the time. I make phone calls all the time. I use my phone a lot. And I started noticing that drop calls started to become a normal occurrence. And it started out, probably one drop call within an entire week. Then it started going to 2 drop calls a week. Then it got to the point where you were getting a drop call a day. Then it started getting to the point where I was getting about 2 drop calls a day. Then it started getting to the point where I couldn't use the internet. It would just, you would do a speed test, it would show you basically nothing. Your phone couldn't go online. Then it got to the point where I was getting up to 5 drop calls a day. Now, I had 4 lines on my plan, 4 different phones. 2 iPhones, one's an iPhone 4, one's a 3GS, some random Pantech, whatever the hell, and some flip phone. All 4 phones were getting drop calls on a daily basis. When I called AT&T, and I have to say, I've called AT&T God knows how many times about this issue. And the answer I would get would always be different depending on who I'm speaking with. I've had one person tell me, well, sir, we've noticed that the towers in your area are just under repair. They're problematic. You have 1 or 2 towers that are actually working in your area. The rest are down for service. So I'm going to credit your account. Okay. No problem. Okay, they understand that there's something wrong. They're going to credit my account. I have no problem with that. They're saying they're working on it. Great. I asked her, when can I expect this to be resolved? She told me 2 weeks, tops, your service should be back to working order. Okay. 2 weeks go by. Still getting 5 drop calls a day on my phone, and my other relatives are also getting drop calls on their phones. Now, this isn't specific to my area. I have a father who is a truck driver. He goes all across the country, and he gets drop calls all across the country. Now, he is more likely to get a drop call than me because he's going from state to state. But I'm getting a hell of a lot more than he is. I call back AT&T. Now, I'm on the call with AT&T, and the call drops while I am on the call with AT&T. They call me back. They said, what happened? I said, I got a drop call. They asked me, how many bars do you have on your phone? I said, I have 5 bars of signal. I'm sitting outside in my backyard. I'm not even inside the house. The lady has the nerve to tell me that, well, sir, are you inside a house or a building? I'm like, no, ma'am, I am outside in a clear as day. You know, there's no bad weather, no heavy winds, no big trees around. I'm in a very decent area with 5 bars of signal. Why did our call get dropped? She's about to talk to her supervisor about this. The call drops again. She calls me back. She said, did it drop again? I'm like, yes. So she tells me, okay, sir, my supervisor advised me to have you send in that phone to Apple to get replaced. I'm like, well, why? What are you talking about? She's like, well, the phone could be defective. I said, well, how does that make sense that this phone's defective when my other 3 phones are also doing the same thing? So you're telling me all 4 of my phones are defective. The lady said, no, but just to be sure, send in your phone for repair. I do it. I send it Apple. Apple's like, there's nothing wrong with your phone, but we'll just swap it out anyway. Okay, fine. So I had to waste my time swapping out my phone. Call them back and explain to them that, yes, I'm continuously getting drop calls. The lady tells me to get my SIM card swapped out. I go to the AT&T store, I get my SIM card swapped out. Same shit, still getting drop calls. So this is where we get into the point of when I started speaking to the administrative complaint, or I forget what the hell they call themselves, but it's basically... let's see. I'm also reading my notes here, guys. It's called Customer Appeals Manager in the Executive Response. I spoke to a gentleman by the name of Ansley. Okay, and they say he's the chairman of Consumer Appeals Manager for, under the Executive Response. Spoke to the guy, explained to them the exact same story. Now, at this point, we're talking about 3 months where the service is just utter shit. The service is not working, drop calls up the wazoo, can't use the fucking internet, text messages don't even come in, and it's just an you can't use the service. That's at the point we are. So he says, okay, fine, I'm going to investigate this. And I explained to him about the down towers and all that stuff. He tells me that he did a research with his network team, and the network team found absolutely nothing wrong with the towers. I asked him, I said, well, can you look into the history, because I spoke to a lady on your phone that said that that there were down towers in my area, and that's why she originally credited my account. Now, my account has been credited for 3 months at this point. 3 months of where my service is not working, therefore they did not charge me a dime for those 3 months. But I'm still within my 2-year contract. So I spoke to the guy and said, look, I want to leave your service. I want to move to something else because right now you guys aren't fixing the problem. And why should I be forced to deal with this? And he's like, well, we're crediting your account. I said, it doesn't matter that you're crediting my account. My point is, I can't use the service to begin with. Why should I be forced to deal with this and have a non-working service? Yes, you're crediting my account, but I need to use my phone. In order to do my job, I need my phone. In order to live my life, I need my phone. I need to be able to use the fucking thing that I'm paying for every month. Or in this case, not paying for the past 3 months. And Mr. Ansley saying that the network team said everything was fine. There was nothing wrong with my phone, and that he would have to decline my request to cancel service without paying an early termination fee. So I did what the next step a consumer can do. I filed a Better Business complaint, and I filed this actually back in, let's see, I don't know. Okay, it says April 14th, 2011, I filed this. And I wrote, I signed a 2-year agreement with AT&T in June 2010 to get an iPhone 4. Up until the past 4 months of service, It was acceptable, but now I get at least 3 drop calls a day. Half my calls I can't understand the person on the other end of the call, and there are call cutouts and very poor quality. I have called AT&T and wanted to cancel service for my phone number. However, due to contract details, I am not actually responsible for early termination fees. The AT&T contract states the following. AT&T does not guarantee availability of wireless network. Services may be subject to certain equipment and compatibility limitations, including memory storage, network availability, coverage, accessibility, and data conversion limitations. I read that as AT&T does not guarantee you will be within an area that offers access to AT&T's network. My problem is that at all times my phone reports 4 to 5 bars when I'm encountering my issues. Obviously, I have access to AT&T at all times. However, the issue is uptime and reliability, which AT&T's contract does not include in the terms. I do believe that after contacting AT&T for the past 4 months and service has not improved, I should be allowed to leave without paying the early termination fee. All AT&T has offered is to credit my account. So far, I don't owe a dime for the past 2 months of service. My issue is I need a working service, and AT&T crediting my account isn't solving anything. What I want to solve this dispute is the following. No early termination fee. 2, to port my number to a different carrier of my choosing. AT&T makes it very difficult to dispute the terms of service. As all of the representatives told me, there are 2 ways not to pay the early termination fee. If I die or if I join the armed forces. Each agent agreed with my argument but said there is nothing they can do. I have replaced the phone twice and replaced the SIM card twice. So I wrote this, guys. Then I get a response, let's see, I get a response about a week later. AT&T Mobility received the above referenced consumer complaint and appreciates the opportunity to respond. Specifically, my name, complains that he is experiencing dropped calls and network issues. Account research regarding this complaint shows that coverage in this area is good and his home address is located 2,800 feet from the nearest cell site. I spoke with, my name, on 4/25/2011, and in an effort to resolve the complaint, I advised that I contacted our network support team to verify if there are any current network issues in the customer's area. I advised the customer that there are no current issues in this area and that his service should be working up to standard and that AT&T would not be able to credit for his early termination fee upon his cancellation. Although I attempted to address, my name, his complaint, he remains unsatisfied with the resolution. No shit. AT&T sincerely regrets any inconvenience this issue may have caused. Feel free to call me directly at, and he gives me a phone number, and this guy says he's Mr. Ansley. Well, now here's a very interesting thing. This is where the lies start happening with AT&T. For one, they're saying it's working up to standard. That's complete bullshit, because why the fuck am I getting, 3 to 5 drop calls a day? That's complete bullshit. You can't tell me it's up to standard when I'm obviously having a problem. Second, why would you credit my account if there was nothing wrong with the service? Exactly. Third, the phone number this gentleman wrote down in the Better Business Bureau complaint actually goes towards a different person, which I will actually explain to later. I wrote this back. I said, I have to disagree with AT&T's decision. There were too many holes in their reason not to waive the early termination fee. For one, Ansley mentioned that coverage in my area was fine, and he used it as a reason not to waive the early termination fee. I have never once complained about the coverage in my area. 4 to 5 bars reported at all times indicates that I am well within decent coverage. He also forgot to mention to the Better Business Bureau that he told me network congestion could cause all of the issues I was experiencing. Then he said that network congestion is normal. I'm sorry, but network congestion is not normal. If I'm getting 5 to 7 drop calls a day and lackluster internet speeds, that's normal? AT&T is an excuse fest. When I have a valid point, they attempt to shoot it down with excuses. AT&T has acted very childish in my regards to this issue. point is, I left AT&T due to going 4+ months with excessive dropped calls and very poor internet speeds, both which the contract does not excuse AT&T for. Since switching to Verizon, I've gone 2 weeks without a single drop call indoors or out. Ansley also doesn't make any valid sense with his decision. He claims that my phone is falsely reporting the signal strength and that while indoors I had all my drop calls. I have 4 lines with AT&T. All 4 of them have had 5 to 7 drop calls a day. First, 99.9% of my drop calls were outside. 2. Why at 11:54 p.m. indoors my internet will be 3.09 megabits per second, but at 10 a.m. in the same location, the speeds will be 0.12 megabits per second. I can disprove all of Ansley's excuses. The point is, I was not given a justified reason for me to pay the early termination fee. All I was told is Ansley needs to go by what his network techs say. Alright, now this is where AT&T starts really fucking up their story. Because now they're getting names completely wrong, and they're getting dates completely wrong. AT&T received the above referenced consumer complaint and appreciates the opportunity to respond. Obviously, this is a form letter, guys. Specifically, my name, complains that he is experiencing drop calls and network issues. Account research, okay, so they just repeat the same shit. So they say about how my place is only 2,800 feet, whatever. Customer Appeals Manager, Mr. Curtis Yeager, spoke with my name on 4/25/2011 and in an effort to resolve the complaint. He advised that he contacted our network support team to verify if there are any current issues. Okay, wait. AT&T, you fucked up right here. Watch. Who the fuck is Curtis Yeager? You obviously said in the first response, you said, Mr. Ansley spoke with me in an effort to resolve the complaint. So wait, where did this Mr. Curtis Yeager come from? Obviously, AT&T has no fucking clue who the hell's calling me, who's talking to me. They don't know. So immediately, that stuck out like a sore thumb, because I'm like, I've never spoke to Curtis Yeager. I've only spoken to Mr. Ansley. And I've spoken to this guy twice. So he says that there are no current issues, basically the same written shit that they wrote before. Upon receipt of the rebuttal, I again reviewed the account and found that there's no new information was provided. Therefore, AT&T's position remains unchanged. I attempted to speak with my name on May 11th, May 12th, and May 13th of 2011, but was unsuccessful. And now this is from a lady named Christine Morse, okay? And she says for me to call her directly at one phone number. Now, here's where I get really, really annoyed, because I call the phone number, it's Mr. Ansley. So who the fuck is Christine Morse, because I've never spoken to her. I know she left me a voicemail message, and she only called me twice. I have the records to prove this. Mr. Ansley never called me back, and I left him a message at the phone number that Christine Morse says that I can call her. So I don't understand how AT&T's employees don't understand or know their own fucking phone numbers. Obviously, she's stupid. And I have to say this. If you're going to give me a phone number that leads to some other idiot, how can you say that it's your phone number? It'd be like me saying, oh, here's my home phone number, but it's actually somebody else's. I mean, really, come on, AT&T. So I wrote this, and this is the very last one because Better Business Bureau doesn't like to be the middleman. They don't want to hear a debate going back and forth. I wrote this. AT&T is making no effort to be professional in this matter. They have been dishonest and misinformative since the complaint has begun. For one, the people whom I've spoken to have been misrepresented by Miss Christine Morse. The very first person I spoke to was Mr. Ansley. Christine has stated that I spoke to Mr. Curtis Yeager. I can say without a doubt I have never spoken to nor received a phone call by him. Also, Christine stated that I was contacted by her 3 times, which is also a lie. I only received a phone call by her on May 11th at 3:10 p.m. I called back on the 11th, 14th, and 20th. She was never available to speak to. I left 3 messages for her with my contact information. She has also misrepresented her phone number on the response. Blah, blah, blah is Mr. Ansley's number. Christine's number is blah, blah, blah. My only problem here is if AT&T can't seem to get its story straight as to whom I have spoken to or how many times they've called me, how can I believe them when they claim my service was satisfactory? I still say I have a valid reason for leaving AT&T early. I shouldn't be held responsible for any fees. I do have all the necessary proof to my claims, including phone records and other valuable information. Now, guys, I want to know what you guys think of my story. I know I talked a lot. I will actually include this document. I'm going to edit, of course. I'm not going to keep my personal information, but I'm dead serious, guys. Don't do business with AT&T. And the shady shit they're doing now, where they're throttling people who hit 3 gigs. I'm glad I'm not dealing with their service anymore, but I'm telling you guys, they owe me $400 because of this shit. I mean, you gotta admit, I'm not wrong in canceling my service, but they're wrong in expecting me to just constantly deal with their shit. They lied through the skin of their teeth, and they couldn't keep the story straight. Any lawyer would just rip the shit out of them for misrepresenting names. I mean, you go to a court and you say to them, well, AT&T told me I spoke to this person. I have no idea who he is, and I've never spoken to him. Here are the phone records. Okay, second, issue, okay, you're telling me I can call you here. I would actually dial that bitch's number in court and say, well, wait, who the fuck is this? This is Mr. Ansley. So she doesn't know who that is. I mean, it's really stupid, guys. I really hate AT&T. I really would love to see a world where they don't exist. Because they're just the most shadiest pieces of shit you'll ever deal with. When you have a valid complaint and a valid problem, they just treat you like if you're stupid, try to explain everything down to you like if you're a 2-year-old, and they just suck. They really do, guys. So take care, guys. Look out for future content. If any news story out there wants to take my story and put it online, by all means, go ahead. I hate AT&T. I really do. Take care, guys.